All right, everybody, this is Ross, and I have been on a bit of a melon journey. As some of you guys probably are aware, in the different videos that we've done in the past on these melon plants, is that I went to Japan many years ago and ate myself an extremely good melon that really you can only find there. You will not find in stores here in the United States. So coming back here and knowing how to grow some things, I decided to start growing melons because I wanted to have that same experience. When a melon is grown properly and well ripened and from the right variety, it is an incredible piece of fruit. So for me, I have made it a mission of mine to grow these melons. Now, in this video, I want to talk to you guys about how I'm growing them vertically. I also want to talk about the varieties I'm growing. We're going to look at some of the fruit set. There's a lot of fruit set now actually on these vines, and in the next 30 to 45 days, a lot of them will be ripe. I want to talk to you guys about some of the challenges because we've struggled with actually, over the last 3 years, growing melons. We've struggled with disease or a virus called Fusarium wilt. We've also struggled with getting sweet fruits, which you might think, wow, that's pretty interesting. And we've talked a lot about that in the past, whether that was about, having too much soil moisture or maybe not enough light. Maybe there's not enough photosynthesis that these plants are receiving, because the garden here, although it's beautiful and a lot of this stuff does perform well, we only get about 7 hours of light. And the melons just may not appreciate that. And I may not have an area of the yard that really gets enough light to sweeten up these fruits. I've grown them along the ground. I've grown them vertically. This year, we planted them in a raised bed. So by having them in a raised bed, we have warmer soil temperatures in the spring that gets their metabolisms going quicker. That's great. But we're also having them away from the clay soil that we have here in the Philadelphia area. So it's really heavy clay. And that stuff just holds so much water, combined with really just how much moisture and rain we get on a consistent basis. So these vines are now in a compost blend. They're planted up higher. They should have less soil moisture in general. Now, is it the light though? Maybe because it could just be the lack of photosynthesis. It could be the water. So we're doing a little bit of an experiment actually over on the patio. We have some melon plants just like these growing vertically in a container. So we're gonna see if we can 100% by wrapping the pot, I'll show it to you guys in a minute, wrapping the container with a plastic bag to 100% control the moisture, the water that goes into the soil, to see if we can actually get ourselves sweet fruits with high enough Brix. Now, I have also thought that it was in the past the varieties themselves, because the variety itself really determines how sweet these fruits are. The genetics are everything for those of you guys who don't know. And so I went last year on a mission in the winter, and I found 20 varieties of melons to try to grow. And I planted last year 20 varieties of melons, the sweetest fruits, the sweetest melon varieties I could find, and not a single one of them was sweet. The only one that was sweet was the Petite Grise. I think it's Petite Grise de Rennais. Is it Rennais? It is the sweetest French melon. It's a cantaloupe that has a really high reputation for flavor. And that was the only one that was relatively sweet, but it still wasn't on the sweetness level that they should be. So from that experiment, I selected this whole thing down to about 4 varieties. We have, I think, Savour, which typically produces a lot of small cantaloupes, a good producer. We also have Petite Grise that I mentioned. We have, I think, a Charentais type in here that's a bit unknown. We also have a melon in here called Zata. It's another cantaloupe. And Zata is basically an Italian heirloom melon that last year did actually show some pretty decent promise. There was a couple varieties that seemed to do relatively well with the virus of Fusarium wilt, and looked like they were going to produce a couple sweet fruits, but it was hard to really tell. And I honestly, from that trial, I couldn't gather all the information. I forgot most of the information I had. But Zata seemed to be one that was promising. And then we also went a step further. I paid $8 and some cents for seeds of a variety called, actually I may have paid more than that. I can't remember exactly. I think it might have been $20 of seeds of Grisolette, which is a hybrid version of the Petite Grise. So it's basically they took the very high quality taste qualities, of the Petite Grise and then made it into a hybrid version. And that's what these two plants are over here. You can see this one, and then there's also this one right here, which has a ton of melons on it. They're both really good growers. You could tell, of course, they're a hybrid. Like, there's just a lot less issues with them. They put out a lot of fruit. If I come over here to the backside, you can see exactly just how many fruits are on these things. And they just keep setting, by the way, as they keep growing, which is not really a good thing. I'm wondering maybe if there's too many fruits on these vines, which might mess with the sweetness level of them. Here's some more down here. Look at that. These are really crazy good producers of melons, this Grisolette variety. Now, the way that they fruit, it's pretty easy to grow them vertically. So I just have the T-post in the ground. It's 5 feet this year. I think actually they're 6 feet, I think, driven in the ground a foot. Then I have these PVC T's here at the top. This is the Josh Satin trellis. And then we have the EMT pole that goes through to the other side. Then I hang the tomato twine, which you can buy, I think I have a link down there in Amazon in the description. And then that's tied to a stake at the bottom. And then these are just basically the vines here are just twisted around like so. And they hang on really well. This is a great way to do it. Once they reach the top here, what I'm doing is I'm kind of just tying them around this top pole. And as they start to then grow along this top pole, they then start to droop down to the ground and they'll eventually come down the other side. I would like to see if I could maybe expand this in some way. I don't know, maybe I could attach stakes to the top here so that I could let them grow taller a bit. It'd be nice if they could arch over this way as well. So there's a couple thoughts I have, but so far they're all really healthy and I'm not seeing any cucumber beetles. So that's like a really, really good sign. I'm sure the beetles will be around here somewhere, but I'm not seeing any. And I think a lot of that maybe it's just due to luck, but there's also something I've been doing this year with compost tea, and I've been brewing a lot of compost tea, and I've been spraying or giving the plants here in the garden, especially these melons, the compost tea, and they seem to be doing really well. They're responding well with that. Now that compost tea is supposed to give the soil a better microbiome, so better microbes, that these microbes then help fight, give the plant a better defense against the virus. So the virus is in the soil, the Fusarium wilt, and apparently by giving the right microbiome in the soil, that helps lessen or even lower the chances of even getting Fusarium wilt. So this could be a really amazing year for these melons. I don't know how this is going to work out. I think I did actually grow them in a raised bed. No, I never grew them in a raised bed. I think a couple years ago I grew them actually back there, which wasn't technically a raised bed. So I don't know. It's interesting. I'm very curious to see how the varieties perform if we get Fusarium wilt and if the fruits are sweet. There's a lot of fruits now. Oh, I should also mention, so as I train them up the tomato twine, I do want to mention this. What happens is the vines then start sending out side shoots. So along these side shoots, you don't prune off the side shoots like you would maybe a tomato plant that you're trading vertically. You let the side shoots grow, because that first leaf and the first flower that forms is the female flower. and then you get yourself a fruit. Along the main stem will be the male flowers. So you want to actually keep the main stem growing to get those male flowers to then pollinate the side shoots. And then of course, once the first fruit appears, I then try to remove the growth point to stop the side shoot from growing. And that's all it really is there in terms of growing them vertically. It's that simple. You don't have to pollinate them. There's bees all over these damn things. You could see a bumblebee right there who's doing his job. So let me show you the experiment real quick, because in order to get sweet fruits, we said there's maybe not enough light. I also said maybe there's too much soil moisture. So we have them in the raised bed, but I also decided to put some in containers. So here's 2 melon plants. Actually, we have them in 5-gallon size grow bags. And in these 5-gallon size grow bags, what we can do is wrap the containers themselves with a plastic bag to prevent all of the moisture, 100% of the moisture from the rain, from getting in. So I can control 100% of the moisture in these plants to really dial in the soil moisture. Now, I have not seen any fruit set yet on these. They seem to be struggling a bit more than the in-ground trees, and that it makes sense. The in-ground soil, the soil in the ground is so much healthier. We'll see though, as these plants grow. I think they're just a bit later, but the point is really just the experiment, just to see if that'll work. And once I dial in the water, and let's say the fruits end up being sweet, then we know it's the water. If the fruits are still not sweet in the container, and they're not sweet over there in the raised bed that we have, well, then we know it's probably the sun. So best case scenario, both scenarios are sweet, and we'll have ourselves a lot of melon. We'll be swimming in melons, guys. So anyway, thank you so much for watching this one. If you enjoyed it, please check out the other videos we've done now on the melons. Like I said, we've been doing these now for years, trying to get ourselves a successful melon crop. We'll talk to you guys later, all right? Hit that subscribe button. See you for the next one. Take care.